Coming up on Good Morning Indian Country, we take a look into the weather forecast for Turkey Day.
And we'll take you to an event held in Topeka that teaches students the importance of language revitalization.
And Shirley Sneevy from ICT News spoke to a former USDA leader who explains how changes to SNAP benefits affect the economy. Those stories and more just ahead. Stay with us. Welcome to Good Morning Indian Country. I'm Shia Blackcloud.
And I'm Allison Levering. We're coming to you live from our studio inside of Stauffer Flint Hall at the University of Kansas. An event held at Haskell's Ministry and Community Center helped attendees learn how they can be in control of their well-being. KUJH's Melana Hesterly has more.
Students at Haskell circled through the Haskell Student Ministry and Community Center for the Health Fair, an event aimed to educate and empower students to take charge of their well-being.
We want to bring awareness to all kinds of issues that the Native American community deals with, so like STIs, diabetes. We just want to give more resources to the community and the students here at Haskell.
The event included information booths, free STI testing, flu shots, and a raffle.
So some of the programs and events that we put on are actually based off of surveys that we do with the students at the beginning of the semester. And health is important, mental health is important, being together is important.
Many students say the fair helps them learn more about issues that impact their families and communities beyond campus.
I have a lot of family who struggles with diabetes, and I just think it's important to go ahead and spread awareness in the community about diabetes and other health issues.
The fair is just one of many ways Haskell Light supports student health throughout the years.
When we're able to connect with students where they need it, right when they need it, it's just absolutely amazing.
The event serves as a reminder that health and wellness go hand in hand with community and culture. For KUJH News, I'm Elena Hesterly.
Hopefully all attendees were able to walk away with some helpful information on staying healthy during this fall semester.
Nearly 24 volunteers and tribal members gathered just north of Lawrence to take part in an indigenous cultural burn. The controlled fire is a part of an effort to restore the land using traditional practices that date back generations. KUJH's Alex Moore shows us how this good fire is helping both the prairie and the people who care for it reconnect.
Nearly 24 volunteers arrived on Monday morning to take part in an indigenous cultural burn near Roth Trailhead, just north of Lawrence. The fire served an important role of bringing nutrients back into the grassland in what is often referred to as a good fire.
I am a good fire advocate, so I try to promote a lot of healthy fires, whether that's prescribed fire, prescribed burn associations, agency fire, lots of people trying to return good fire to landscapes in a fire suppressive world. It's important for all of us to take responsibility in returning fire safely and communally.
Members from several indigenous tribes from across Kansas and the Midwest came out to support this burn because it allowed them to reconnect with traditional cultural ways of caring for the land.
Having the first ignition of the grass, being with a bundle that also included some sage from our reservation, and so having some of those medicine plants be part of that original ignition, to me is just really significant as part of like not just the what we're doing, but the how we're doing it, making sure we're bringing in a lot of these other cultural layers.
With over half a dozen tribes represented today, it's safe to say that this cultural burn was a success. For KUJH News, I'm Alex Moore.
Organizers say they hope to make cultural burns like this a regular part of grassland management in the area and to involve more community members each year. They add that good fire, when done safely and intentionally, can reduce the risk of destructive wildfires, while keeping both the land and cultural traditions alive.
Indigenous students from across Northeast Kansas gathered in Topeka last week for a unique celebration of culture, community, and language. The third annual Title VI Native Youth Gathering brought together middle school and high school students to learn from tribal language instructors, connect with Native leaders, and strengthen their own ties to their identities. Good Morning Indian Country's Jaden Hill takes us inside the event, where language isn't just taught, it's lived.
In the Topeka Center for Advanced Learning and Careers, the air is full of the sounds of conversation, laughter, and 3 different native languages being taught side by side. Last Thursday, the 3rd annual Title VI Native Youth Gathering gave a chance for Indigenous students from across Northeast Kansas to come together in one place.
We have a focus of language revitalization here today, and this is our one chance in Northeast Kansas to bring together all Title VI students.
The summit is focused mainly on high school students, but a few middle schoolers are also here getting a sneak peek for what's ahead. The event is sponsored by Haskell Indian Nations University, giving students a chance to connect with higher education while they connect with each other.
We want to make sure that our students have a chance to get to speak to the university, but we also want to show our middle school kids what is in store for them.
For many families, traveling back to their tribal nations isn't always easy. Students here are spread out across multiple high schools and 2 middle schools, often feeling like the only Native student in the room. Today, that changes.
Our goal for this event is, first of all, just to build community. Oftentimes, our students don't have a chance to make it up to their nations or meet some of their friends. I know in our district, our students are spread out in over 4 high schools, 6 middle schools. So this is like just that one time we can get together and celebrate culture together.
This year's theme, Language Revitalization and Survivance, focuses on blending survival with resilience and presence. Students rotate through sessions in Cherokee, Potawatomi, and Osage, learning not just words, but ways of thinking. It's serious learning, but also seriously fun. Between classes, there is time to share a meal, and even the food becomes a teaching tool. For many students, the day is also a chance to connect more deeply with their own identity.
I like to see processes of learning things. I like to break it down. So this is kind of cool for me to see how they break it down and all the different parts that they have to break it down.
One of those teachers is Braxton Red Eagle with the Osage Nation, and was invited to share not just vocabulary, but a vision of how language can shape a life.
Yes, I was invited to speak about Osage language in our program. My talk kind of diverted and talked more along the lines of how language touches on just about every aspect of our life and how our language work can come from any field, really, and just really wanted to inspire the students to find the things that are interesting to them, the skills, the talents they may have, the interests, and pursue those things. And I just showed the way that language can utilize that.
From the lunch line to the language lab, every moment here is intentional. Food, language, and culture all woven together. Organizers hope students leave not just full and informed, but ready to carry their language and each other into the future. For Good Morning Indian Country, I'm Jaden Hill.
Organizers say they hope the gathering continues to grow, giving students not only a space to learn Cherokee, Potawatomi, and Osage, but also a place to build lasting community. They add that native languages is key to preserving culture and ensuring today's youth become tomorrow's leaders.
KU's First Nations Student Association hosted a series of events this week to celebrate Indigenous Heritage Month, including Sunday night's round dance at the Converge Union on the KU campus. Highlights of the evening included a hair braiding contest, best ribbon skirt and shirt contest, and a sweetheart dance. FENSA President Elizabeth Valdez shared details on all the work FENSA put into planning a week full of celebration.
Yeah, so we had planned 3 events for this month since it represents Native American Heritage Month. So the first event we did was fry bread dough on to go, and that was hosted with Autumn Powell, and she demonstrated how to make fry bread. And then we went into this week planning the round dance, and that's why we planned it today on a Sunday. And the next event we kind of have is for tomorrow, and it's going to be our Chipotle fundraiser, and that's just more of people coming to order at Chipotle and then kind of do the contribute to our fundraiser. And all the profit that we receive from that is going to go towards the families in Alaska that have kind of been affected by the flooding there, and so that's what we wanted to do, focus on this month, especially since it is, again, Native American Heritage Month.
And the following night, a good crowd turned out to support FINSA's fundraiser, which was to help raise money to help families in Alaska who were affected or displaced by Typhoon Halong in the early days of October.
I was literally just told it about 10 minutes ago by our friend, so I was like, yeah, might as well. So yeah, like our brothers and sisters up there too, so yeah, we're supporting the best way we can.
Finally feels like fall, and hopefully we don't hit that winter cold soon. Let's see what Emma Coffey has to say about that. Emma?
Thanks, Shia. Well, as we are getting further into this fall month of November, those slightly warmer temperatures that we've been seeing these past few weeks are going to start lowering back down, and by our Thanksgiving week, we're back down to our mid 40s to upper 30s, but we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Talking about this week, mostly cloudy skies all week long. Those clouds are only going to get more and more prevalent as we get further into this week and later this weekend. Lower wind speeds, though, will help with some of those chillier temperatures, probably averaging between 3 and 5 miles per hour for the most part. Wednesday's forecast a high of 61 degrees, so a little bit of a drop from the 75-degree temperatures we've been seeing recently. Lots of sunshine and some clouds earlier in the morning. That's going to slowly transition into our mostly cloudy skies later on Wednesday afternoon. Light wind speeds, like we said, averaging around 5 miles per hour. Our humidity is pretty high as of 72%, but it's not going to make that much of a difference with those wind speeds and with those clouds. Our hourly planner for Wednesday, 12 p.m., 53 degrees, rising up to 57 degrees by 2 p.m. And in between that 2 to 4 p.m. time frame is probably when we're going to hit those low 60s, and that's where we're going to cap off for the day, because by 5 p.m. we've dropped back down to 56 degrees, and by 8 p.m. we're all the way down to 51. Like we said, 12 p.m., partly cloudy skies, a pretty healthy mix of sunshine and clouds. By 2 p.m. though, those clouds are going to start to take over that sunshine, and those clouds are only going to persist as we get further into Wednesday's forecast. Wednesday night, a low of 46 degrees. Nothing too chilly just yet. Like we said, those cloudy skies are going to persist all the way into Thursday's forecast as well. Lighter wind speeds still remaining pretty constant at 5 miles per hour. And while our humidity is rising up to 84% with those cooler temperatures, it's not going to make too much of an impact. Thursday's forecast rising up in temperatures just a little bit, high of 64 degrees. Those cloudy skies are carrying on over from Wednesday. Lighter wind speeds again only rising up to 6 miles per hour. Now here in a little bit we'll talk about our sports forecast over in Ames, Iowa, as well as our upcoming forecast for Thanksgiving week. Stay tuned.
Thanks, Emma. After the break, Good Morning Indian Country shares details about how federal food programs support local economies and how fashion and education go hand in hand on the runway. All this and more after the break.
Good Morning Indian Country is supported by Press Forward, the nationwide initiative strengthening communities through local news.
Federal food programs like SNAP are often seen as simply a safety net, but for many Native producers, they're also a lifeline for local economies and family ranches. Cheyenne River rancher and former USDA official Zach Duchenet says recent policy cuts and market upheavals are reshaping everything from cattle prices to what ends up on your dinner table. He sat down with ICT's Shirley Sneevy to talk about the farm crisis he sees unfolding and why connecting consumers directly with local producers could be part of the solution.
Looking at where we're at now, I firmly believe that the global pandemic was the beginning of the farm financial crisis that we're now in. And the work of our administration with Congress staved the impacts of that off during our time there. We just didn't have enough time for the solutions to prevent it from happening or resurfacing to come to bear. We made a lot of investments in the critical infrastructure that the lack of which caused our store shelves to be empty. That store shelf isn't the only place to buy it. And with a small investment in a little chest type freezer, you can have enough beef to feed your family on hand for the price of one evening's worth of steaks, frankly, at a steakhouse. So there are options, and the more we can do to put the consumer and the producer in the same conversation, the more we're going to do to build a resilient food system that better serves us all And then you know that money's getting to the producer. Our local friends and relatives and neighbors and tribal members could use their nutrition benefits to buy locally grown, locally sourced, healthy grass-fed beef by the quarter, or by the pound if they want to, or by the bundle, instead of having the only choice they've got going to the Lakota Thrifty Mart and buying whatever the food company brings in there. SNAP is a great program, but it's not at once a program to feed those that are hungry. It's a price support structure for American food, and we don't talk enough about that. The $30 billion a year that Congress bragged on cutting from SNAP in order to pay for the tax breaks and the other things in the big, beautiful bill is coming out of the American food economy.
Ducheneau says SNAP doesn't just fight hunger, it helps keep billions of dollars circulating in the American food system. He warns that deep cuts to the program combined with global market shifts could hurt both families at the checkout line and the ranchers who raise their own food. But he adds that expanding local direct-to-consumer options and protecting thoughtful federal support can help build a more resilient food system for everyone.
In Spokane, the runway turned into a platform for justice and education. At the National Indian Education Association Convention, Indigenous designers and educators used fashion to share culture and to push for change in classrooms. And in Congress, ICT's Shirley Sneevy and Marianne Pembroke take us inside a show where beadwork, buckskin, and bold messages walked hand in hand.
Fashion meets advocacy in Spokane, with designers and educators sharing culture and calling for change at the National Indian Education Association Convention. Marionette Pember was there.
Washington State's Spokane Convention Center welcomed more than 2,000 educators, students, advocates, and designers in October for NIEA's 56th annual gathering.
These are all my original designs that I'll be showing today. I'll be showing 9 pieces, and there's a variety. I have Pendleton, I have Longhouse, I have...
With the theme Empowering Sovereignty, Our Legacies, Our Futures, the association sponsored a fashion show.
So with this outfit is I added the fringe, so it's heavy hang out with your arms out.
Oh, yeah.
Turn around, yep. Check it out, turn around. Yep, so this is actually buckskin that I put on my sewed it.
The educators stressed the importance of the Johnson-O'Malley Act that in part ensures resources for Indian students.
We don't want it to just be something that sits on a shelf.
And urged Congress to fully fund tribal colleges. The group also called on Congress to pass the Indian Boarding School Healing Act.
When we think about boarding schools, and in particular the impact that boarding schools have had on our communities, we do want to make sure that we are continuing to tell the true and accurate history of what is now the United States and that impact on to our tribal communities.
From Spokane, Washington, I'm Marionette Pember for ICT.
Educators are urging Congress to fund programs like Johnson O'Malley and tribal colleges fully, and to pass the Indian Boarding School Healing Act. They say honoring Native students today means telling the full truth about past and investing their futures.
Up next, Emma Coffey has our national weather forecast for the upcoming week. Emma, how's it looking?
Thanks, Allison. Well, this weekend, KU football is back after a bye week. They're traveling to Ames, Iowa to take on Iowa State. Now, for those of you who may be in Iowa on that day, a high of 55 degrees, just a little bit cooler than what we've been seeing here in Lawrence. Partly cloudy skies all day long, with our wind speeds rising up to about average speeds, averaging around 10 miles per hour. Now, zooming a week ahead to Thanksgiving, this is kind of our projected Thanksgiving weather forecast all across the nation. Over here in the Kansas-Oklahoma region, kind of slightly warmer temperatures. As we get further west, they're going to get a little bit cold and a little bit chilly. You can see these snowflakes are starting to pop up just a little bit on the western side of the country and a little bit up north. Northeast, also that snow is going to start to pop its way through, and we might just be getting a little bit of that snow here in Kansas late Thanksgiving week. Now talking about Thanksgiving Day, Friday, November 27th, Turkey Day, high of 38 degrees, so definitely a bit of a drop from what we're going to be seeing this week and early next week. Once again, those partly cloudy skies are staying pretty prevalent throughout the rest of this month of November. Lower wind speeds, again, remaining pretty consistent at 7 miles per hour. Our extended forecast, like we said, Wednesday and Thursday, highs of 61 and 64. By this Friday, we've dropped all the way down to 56 degrees, and that's probably the coolest that we're going to see for the rest of this week until we get into late Thanksgiving week. Saturday, rising back up just a little bit to 58, and by Sunday, we're all the way back up to 63. Again, that's pretty much the warmest we're actually going to be seeing for the foreseeable future, as after this week, it's going to drop back down into those much chillier temperatures as we start to get closer to December. Cloudy skies all day long Wednesday and Thursday, slowly transitioning into some rain late Friday, so it seems like Friday is going to be a rainy and chilly afternoon. Saturday, that rain is going to dissipate for just a little bit, partly cloudy skies, giving way to some more sunshine on Sunday, but by next Tuesday, we're back to those rain showers. Taking a look at the week after's forecast, next Wednesday, high of 40 degrees, so that is going to be a pretty sharp dip in temperatures from what we're seeing this week. Thursday, 38, next Friday, 35. By next Saturday, our showers are going to start to make their way back into the atmosphere again, and by next Sunday, as you can see, some morning snow flurries are predicted. 33 degrees right now, perfect temperature for those flurries to kind of start to make their way into the air. Unfortunately, they're probably not going to be sticking around for much longer, but by Tuesday, we've got the chance for a little bit more snow and sleet as our temperatures are dipping down to 36 degrees. Well, that's all the weather we have for this week. Back to you, Allison and Shia.
Thanks, Emma. Hopefully it won't get too cold out before the Thanksgiving festivities begin.
Coming up next, we go in depth on Allie Upshaw, a runner from Northern Arizona University, an update on Haskell volleyball, and much more. Stay with us.
Thank you to the Henry Luce Foundation for their support of Good Morning Indian Country.
My name is Allie Upshaw. I'm a tribal member of the Navajo Nation, and I ran for Northern Arizona University. I'm from Fort Defiance, Arizona, which is on the Navajo Nation, so I grew up on the reservation pretty much all of my life. It's definitely kept me grounded throughout my college career, and just has really shaped me into who I've become. I think running is just so multifaceted in a sense to Navajo culture. Growing up, I've always learned, or I've been taught that, running is a form of prayer and a way to keep your blessings close to you, especially as a Navajo woman. And they say when you're running early in the morning, that's when the holy people are out and they're there to guide you and protect you. And when they see you running, that they recognize you in that way. And so I think, with those teachings, they've always kept my culture close to me whenever I'm running like competitively or just training in general. Being a Native student athlete has its, I guess, challenges, but also it brings great pride in so many other ways, especially when it comes to community support. You know, everybody from back home, they love to see, you know, Native student athletes compete and perform at these levels. I think my greatest pride is that, you know, a lot of the comments that I do get, they're very encouraging. That I do get, they're very encouraging. That I do get, they're very that I do get, they're very.
The third annual Indigenous Art Market is coming to Independence on November 29th. The KCIC hosted event runs from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Roger T. Sermon Community Center. Organizers say the market will feature local Indigenous artists, handmade traditional goods, and vendor booths, a chance for holiday shoppers to support Native creators and small businesses.
Also, the Haskell Foundation invites you to an evening of networking, great food, and celebration. Haskell Athletics invites you to this fundraising event where you will enjoy a 3-course catered traditional dinner from Chef Jason, the Native chef. The opportunity to mingle with special guests, student-athlete presentations, and traditional performances, a silent auction, a free ticket to the December 17th KU versus HINU basketball game, and more. This event will coincide with the ESPN Plus televised KU versus Haskell women's basketball game on December 17th. The fundraising goal is $50,000 to support scholarships, equipment, travel, and wellness programs for Haskell student athletes. This event is also open to the public, but will need to purchase a ticket to be able to attend. This is happening at the KU Union Ballroom at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on December 16th.
And thanks for watching this episode of Good Morning Indian Country. Another thank you to Press Forward, the Henry Luce Foundation, and the William Allen White School of Journalism for their support of our work.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Good Morning Indian Country. Stay good, Indian Country, and we will see you next week.